Hey guys, welcome to our channel, or welcome back to our channel. I am Lauren. My business partner Hallie is not with me today. She's out showing homes, bless her heart. So today I am just going to be diving into the pros and cons of Castle Rock, Colorado. This is a really hot suburb to move to right now. There is a ton of new builds going in here, and so I just feel like the expansion and the talk about and the popularity of this suburb is really growing, and I feel like it's a really important one for us to kind of touch on again. So if you do not know, Castle Rock is due south of Denver. If you are trying to go to downtown Denver from Castle Rock in terms of location, you're looking at roughly like a 35 to 40 minute drive, depending on traffic. So not horrible. If you do work downtown, obviously that is going to be a little bit of a drive, but you just take the I-25 straight down to Denver, and then that will also take you to Colorado Springs, which from Castle Rock is probably another roughly like 30 minutes or so to get to Colorado Springs. So my first pro I want to talk about is there is tons of shopping and retail in Castle Rock, which I think makes it a very desirable place to live. Castle Rock, first of all, has our downtown historic Castle Rock. There are apartments and buildings in there from like the 1800s, 1900s. A lot of them have been renovated and then turned into like luxury apartments, but there's a lot of historic buildings there too. So I think that that's something that's just really neat. It has a very like small town feel when you get there. And then they do a lot of things like purely for Castle Rock residents. And obviously you don't have to be a Castle Rock resident to go to these events, but they do a lot of events there. So there's a Christmas tree lighting, there's trunk or treat for Halloween. They do, music venues and concerts. They do all sorts of things to get the community together. And it's really like a small town special feel, if that's kind of your thing. It is a very family oriented place to live. So, trying to get a lot of families and kids and stuff together in downtown Castle Rock, I think is a really big priority there. On top of that, there is tons of shopping, tons of restaurants. I mean, some restaurants off the top of my head that I personally just absolutely love. There's the B&B Cafe, which has phenomenal cinnamon rolls. I mean, they're huge. There is the Great Divide Brewery, really cool feel inside. Awesome beers, really great food. And there's Union Bistro, another really delicious spot to go to. I mean, there's so many neat finds there, and it's really, it's right in your backyard if you're living in Castle Rock. So that's a really neat thing to have. And then there's also the Castle Rock outlets. The outlet mall is a big deal here in Denver in and of itself. There is over 100 different shops in the outlets. So there's Michael Kors, there's Nike, there's Adidas, there's all kinds of stuff. We have a giant Home Goods, there's a giant Whole Foods, there is a giant King Soopers marketplace that is one of our big and well-known grocery store chains here. So there's that, there's Home Depot, there's Chick-fil-A, there's Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory, there's Restoration Hardware. I mean, you name it and it's there. So tons of shopping, tons of restaurants that are accessible to you there, and it's just a really great place to shop and get what all you need. So another pro about Castle Rock is the feel of Castle Rock. So Hallie and I always mention in our videos that living on kind of the west side of Denver, where more of the older, towns, cities, subdivisions are, such as Littleton, Lakewood, Morrison, Golden, all of these places, can have kind of a pretty penny tied with them because you're so close to the foothills. Well, Castle Rock, you still get that close proximity to the foothills. You get that Colorado feel, but the price point is lower. Castle Rock, you really have like views of the bluffs, you have views of the foothills, you have close access, to getting into the mountains if you want to be there. And a lot of subdivisions and new builds really have tailored kind of their homes and how they're built to give you that Colorado feel, that vibe, like through your windows. So Montaigne is a really great example, a newer community that has really put their homes in a special design to where you really feel like every view from every house or a view from your backyard gives you a view of like open space or a green belt or the foothills, whatever, may have you there. The Canyons is another great one. The Meadows is an older subdivision. Were built in like the early 2000s. There are 30 neighborhoods within the Meadows. There are 1,100 acres of trails and open space throughout the Meadows, which is insane. And there's just a lot of different home styles that come along with living in the Meadows. So that's another really great one. There's also Keene Ranch, which is located in Castle Rock. Keene Ranch is very custom built homes, a very expensive place to live, but again, views for days. Some of the best views in Castle Rock are found in Keene Ranch. These homes have a very high price point. We're looking in the millions here because again, they're all custom built homes. There are 246 lots available in Keene Ranch. And by available, I mean that's all that there are. It doesn't mean that they're for sale. They do have an HOA there of $200 annually. And really it's just to help with kind of the upkeep of the community. There is also Crystal Valley. Crystal Valley is another huge master plan community. Been there a little bit longer, more around like the Meadows time frame. Not a new build like Montaigne or the Canyons, but Crystal Valley's great. They have like 5 of the top builders there, tons of different styles of homes. Base price in there, you're looking between the 600s and 700,000. So there's a really great variety in there. There's just a lot of different communities to choose from, and they all really do have a Colorado feel, if that's kind of what you're looking for. Another pro with living in Castle Rock is its proximity and availability to outdoor recreation. So really in all of the communities I just mentioned, they have a ton of just their own trails and open space for families to utilize, ride bikes through, take your dog for a walk, walk your kids in their strollers. There's tons of playgrounds absolutely everywhere. But there's also a really great amount of just kind of unique and special outdoor recreational kind of places that I want to touch on. So we have the Philip S. Miller Activity Complex, and it is 300 acres. It has a 2-story rec facility that has party rooms, pools that are indoor, batting cages. There's also, trampolines inside, which is really cool, play place. It's got everything in there. I mean, this place is huge. And then on top of the indoor items that they also have outdoor items. They have a huge park for kids. It has like a 23-foot giant yellow slide. My kids absolutely love it. They have a splash pad there. And then they also have zip line that goes through, and they have a huge kind of older kids activity place too. So there's rock climbing and walking across ropes and kind of doing all these physical challenges. So it really is just a massive park. And then also what's located there is the Castle Rock Incline. The Castle Rock Incline is a 0.6 mile loop, and it has 200 steps to the top, and then you kind of can either go back down the steps or you can do kind of the loop around the hill and then go to the bottom and then go back up again. And there's absolutely phenomenal views there. It's a really great workout. Again, right there if you live in Castle Rock. And for me, living in Littleton, it's roughly 20 minutes from my house if I want to go and do that. So it's just a great option to have. Another really great park is Deputy Zach Parish Park. This is located actually in the Meadows neighborhood, which I talked about just a little bit ago, and it is 5.5 acres. And really why this park was built is it honors the men and women who really keep the community safe. There are pickleball courts. There are 2 separate playgrounds. There's one for 2 to 5-year-olds, and then there's one for 5 and up. There's 3 giant, huge blue slides. There's a zip line. There's music toys. There's all kinds of stuff there. And then there's also the famous Castle Rock, and you can go and walk that as well. And it's a very easy walk to do. You can bring little kids to do it. If you want to bring older parents or in-laws or grandparents, it's a very easy walk to do. It is a dirt trail, but very low incline, not very you don't have to exert yourself very much to do it, but definitely go in the summertime. Do not go when there is snow or ice on the ground, as it can be a little muddy and a little treacherous. So I do want to talk about some cons that go along with Castle Rock. Some cons that go around with Castle Rock is really when we do get our inclement weather here in Colorado, which we do get some very, very cold temperatures and we get some very large snowfalls. And with Castle Rock, there is actually an elevation drop with the city of Castle Rock. And when this happens, so our main highway that runs through Castle Rock that again takes you to Colorado Springs and then also takes you to downtown Denver and everywhere in between, this gets closed a lot for traffic accidents. There are a lot of accidents that can happen in this area right near Castle Rock because a lot of ice ends up remaining on the road. It gets really backed up sometimes. And I'm not saying this all the time. This is purely with like very inclement weather. Like we're talking big snowstorms, you know, in our highest snowfall months, which typically, you know, is like springtime, early spring. So early in the year, I'm talking like March and April timeframe. So that is just something to keep in mind, that the road does get backed up quite a bit there. And then also another con that kind of goes along with Castle Rock is during the summer, there are watering restrictions. And this is something important to know. The county really tries to limit your days that you can water your grass so you can't overwater. So that is just something to keep in mind if you're, you know, a big waterer, big gardener, want to be, you know, washing your cars out front every weekend. It is kind of a problem in the summertime. You know, and something that is kind of a pro and kind of a con, and it really is more your preference, is Castle Rock, like I said in the beginning of this video, is very much still growing. Castle Rock has probably one of the most new build communities that have gone up and are still going up and being developed. There's just still a lot of space to grow and expand there for new communities. So with that being said, that's really great if new builds are your thing. It really drives up, you know, population and people moving there and it being a sought after place to live. But with that also is going to come maybe more traffic, more congestion over time, and there is still going to be a lot of change. So while the way Castle Rock looks now, and there is still, you know, plenty of open space, we are going to still see some of that changing and more communities and more new builds kind of going in there. So again, it's just kind of a preference thing. So one last con that comes with living in Castle Rock, and really again, this is kind of a preference. I personally don't find it very much of a con, but I can see how some people would. So there is an active train track that runs through downtown Castle Rock. It does run across, you know, the I-25. So if you live in the Meadows, one of the neighborhoods that I just mentioned earlier, you are close to it. Now, with that being said, this is not a train track where you hear the train horn going off all the time. They don't blow the horn at night, and honestly, you never hear it. So my sister used to live in the Meadows. I have a couple of best friends and close friends that live in the Meadows. It is a non-issue. You never ever hear it. But if you don't want to live near a train track, then, you know, that is just something to keep in mind. But it really is not busy and it's not really an annoyance, but it's just something that you should be aware of. So that is pretty much all of my pros and cons for the area of Castle Rock. It is part of Douglas County, so you are part of the Douglas County School District. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, want to come check out Castle Rock, please feel free to reach out to us at our number or our email listed below. Hallie and I are both licensed real estate agents in the state of Colorado, and we would love to help you with all of your real estate needs. And thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you join us on the next one.